All right. Hello, everybody from Cohort A and my remote students working today. So, this lesson is going to be focused on email etiquette, and it's going to be something that applies to both my English classes and journalism students, whether you're in level one or level two. I'm super excited this year that they activated your Google accounts, your Gmail accounts rather, which sounds like no big deal. Only it's really been something that I've been advocating for students to have as a resource for quite some time. So thankfully, it's up and running, and I wanted to do a lesson that involves how to properly write and to email folks using that particular account. What does etiquette mean? Obviously, I'm having a discussion with myself right now for this video lesson, but I want you to give it some thought for a moment. You may have heard the term etiquette in terms of how to behave at like a fancy restaurant, or you're not quite sure what to do and you ask, well, what's the etiquette? Etiquette certainly has to do with behaviors, and it has to do with manners and roles and responsibilities. Professional etiquette is something that you would use in the context of a school that you attend, whether it be high school in this situation or at a college level. Etiquette also has to do with business etiquette, how you might address an employer or email someone who's looking, you might be applying for a job. And etiquette does apply at fancy dinners too. So you certainly that you would see that it applies in that context as well. I want you to give a moment's thought for different ways you might use email for school versus personal use. Personal use, I use email for a variety of things, to catch up with some friends. If we are, too busy maybe for texting or can't keep up with it. Sometimes we're using it for just personal things we're involved in correspondence. So like if I'm involved in this particular local group, I might use that email as a collaboration tool among other people I'm working on a project with. For example, if I volunteer in town with the Hampton Education Foundation, I'm going to be using email to reach out to the other committee members that we are working on public relations for our next fundraising event. For school, you want to give thought to the different ways you'll use it. In fact, my middle school daughter was emailing her teacher without me even knowing this afternoon, asking questions about coursework, materials, a quick update on grades, or, hey, Miss Gerst, I turned that assignment in. Did you get it? Because I didn't see it updated in the grade book. My response might be, yes, I just didn't get to update yet. But those are different things that you might use it when it comes to school. In the journalism classroom, if that's the class you're taking with me, you're going to use email a lot to reach out to folks to arrange interviews, and maybe even though it's less desirable than in person, in a pandemic, we can kind of bend the rules a little bit. You could even email people that have agreed to talk to you for part of a story you're reporting, or maybe you're doing an individual profile on somebody or a profile on a new teacher. And if they've agreed to do it by email, that might be another usage that you're going to use your school email account for. Just a quick note, I wanted to be mindful of the fact that with opening up emails to the entire student body might come an inappropriate email, and that you receive, and I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but in the event it does, I thought it would be wise to just kind of give you some coaching on how to manage that with a list of do's and don'ts in the event that occurs for you this year. One thing that helps is the fact that your that your emails are addressed by ID number and they are not addressed by name. So it's hard for somebody to seek that out unless they have that information. Let me close this. I'm not sure this is blocking your viewing. Oh, wrong way. All right, so let's brainstorm for a minute. I want you to think about what types of elements you think should be included in an appropriate professional email, and maybe what things you shouldn't include. I can leave an awkward silence for brainstorming, but you could also just pause this to give it some thought and to be actively engaged with the content. To kind of kick off this discussion, I have an example of an email that was posted on a website of funny student emails to professors. Okay, so this is an example of what not to do. You can see the subject is missed class, and it says, "Yo, Doe, I missed class yesterday. What we do, Chris?" And before you're like, "Oh, somebody made that up," I wouldn't be so sure. In the spring, since we entered the world of communicating virtually almost, without any warning, I would get a couple emails that had that tone, or even a couple remind texts where maybe the students were sending me messages as if I was one of their buds, where I really is a good habit to be into when you're talking to someone who's a teacher or a possible employer or a professor, that communication, whether it be in the email or remind, is polished. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get a kick out of when kids are just at ease, but nonetheless, it's good to be in the practice of that etiquette and being mindful of appropriate behaviors and manners when you're interacting in that fashion. So this was the response from the professor to that email. Oh, I'm gonna move my video up for a minute. And I'll give you a second to take a look at that. It cracked me up. So I won't read it to you, but it's there for your reference to check out. All right, contents of a good email. So you could do lots of fun things. I can try to make that. Sorry, I'm trying to make that Google Slides thing go away so it's not in your face. Yeah, there it goes. You want to use professional or neutral font. Sometimes we get real excited that we can make something red and in bold and in cursive. You're going to avoid that when you're doing professional correspondence. That might be something you do for fun with friends or a personal group you're connected with, or you're, a family member that you're sending an email to. But when I say neutral font, we're talking about our font style that we have options in our Gmail to use. You want to use something polished and simple and easy to read. Avoid cursives, avoid script fonts, and keep it in a color. Black is obviously the most straightforward in contrast to a white background. It's the easiest to read. Number 2, you always include a subject in your email. You never want to send it without anything. If you do, it comes up, untitled or no title. What you'll find is once you start corresponding by email with frequency, it is very easy to lose things in the mix and things pile up. And people often use a keyword search to look for a particular message. If I remember what it was about, but I can't find it, I can think, oh, well, let me put that keyword in an email search. That'll help bring it up. Your subject is going to help with that. You're going to, for number 3, include an appropriate greeting. Dear Mrs. Gerster, hello, Gabriella, something along those lines. Number 4, you want to clearly write the contents of your email. You want to be straightforward, brief, and you want to check for grammar and spelling. Number 5, you want to include a closing. And number 6, you want to include an appropriate signature that includes your first and last name, a full last name too. So I wouldn't put, Joe T. If that was my name, I would put Joe Thompson. That was my full name. And I guess I'll know you watched this video for that little fun fact. Coach Thompson at the middle school, the wrestling and cross country and track coach, is my brother. So students are always kind of amused by learning that. We're pretty different, but we're related, and we grew up together. So it's always fun. People get a kick out of that. Okay, one thing to remember when you're writing your email is cups, and that's capitalization, usage, punctuation, and spelling. You want to check that stuff. You want to look polished. You want to look like someone who took care. I think it's easy for people to make a quick judgment about someone if they have spelling, grammar, capitalization errors in email, even though it's not a formal essay, it's not a formal paper. I totally understand all that. But it is human nature to make a quick assessment of whether or not you think that person, I don't know, is as polished and professional as you want them to be. If you're bored, you could play this Cups song. Do you know this song? I don't know if you know. That can help you remember it. I'll let it play for just a minute. Just trying to lighten up a perhaps boring topic. All right. So your turn. What you're going to do is you're going to check out the email assignment details that are posted to the Google Classroom. It's going to be under the week 1 unit topic, and then underneath it'll say Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. The task varies depending if you're enrolled in my CP English 3 class or my CP Journalism 1 or 2 class. There'll be a different question that's asked of you, but you're going to see that I will ask you to actually talk about something in the body of your email, and that something will be different depending on if you're in my English class or you're in my CP Journalism classes. And some of you have me twice in a day for both courses, so the emails will be slightly different. All right, so let's take a look at the actual assignment paperwork that I will have linked for you in Google Classroom. It's called the Email Your Teacher assignment. And you'll see its purpose is whenever you need to contact an adult at Hampton High School, or really outside of Hampton High School too, an employer, something that's outside of your personal realm that you want to address in a professional way, in a polished way, you want to make a good impression. And these are the public relations skills that we're really looking to hone in this virtual world. And hopefully it translates even into your conversational interactions with people as well. I wanted to highlight a couple things on this, although I think you're smart enough to kind of go through. The email that you're going to be working with is the school issued email. It's going to be the ID number hps@hamptonschools.org account. You've had that for some time. You should be able to go in your Google Grid up at the top right hand corner of your screen, or at the bottom if there's a shortcut in your menu in Chromebook, and click on that Gmail, because that is the email that the school would like us to use for your correspondence with your teachers. And that's the Hamilton Schools Gmail is the account that I, as your teacher, should be using to interact with you. Right now, we do have 2 separate emails, and that gets confusing. There's one that ends in ps.org, and then there's one that ends in hamiltonschools.org. It is the hamiltonschools.org that is the one that students should be using, and parents can reach out to really either, but the PS one is, ps.org is the one that, they have us kind of set aside separate from students. All right, let's look at your checklist here. All right, checklist item 1. You're going to put a subject in the line of your email. It's written in bold. You can highlight that and paste it if you've got your email opened up in a separate tab and have this document open while you're working. You're going to open with a greeting. Hello. You're going to introduce yourself with your first and last name. And then I'd like you to tell me if you prefer a nickname. A couple of you that I got to see in person shared with me that they wanted to do that, so you can do that then. Item 3, you're in the next paragraph, so that means you're going to hit enter and start a new line, and you don't have to indent in an email. It's different than an essay form. You can keep everything left aligned. You are going to state the purpose of this email. In this case, it's because I gave you an assignment to send an email. So you will say the purpose of this email is to answer the question that you posed to us. Depending on which course you're in, CP3 or journalism, you have a different question to answer. Okay, so you might write, the purpose of this email is to discuss the best story or book that I've ever read. And then you will proceed to explain your answer in 3 to 4 sentences. If you're in journalism, it's going to be about the Washington Post video that I showed you and that I've attached to today's assignment as well. So for step 3 here, you would state the purpose of your email. You could say, I am writing in response to the question you posed about the Washington Post Super Bowl ad. And then you will proceed to answer those questions that I have for you right here. It says, what message about journalism was it trying to convey? Was it effective? Do you agree that democracy dies in darkness? And explain that to me in 3 to 4 sentences. But again, pay attention to what class you're in. And if you're in both, you will do this in 2 separate emails. The first week, I'm doing a lot of the same activities across the board as we acclimate to our new setup. So I just asked to tell you, answer that question in your email. Listen, later on, you might need to ask me for help on an assignment or have me fix a grade. You always want to state the purpose of your email, okay? And the purpose for this one is to answer the questions I posed for you. All right, step 4. We are going to try attach a photo of yourself to this email. It does not matter who took the photo, where it was taken, if it's recent, you don't have to take it today, but I only get to see your faces with a mask on it. And so I thought this would be a great way to just see your face. You've seen mine without a mask since I'm recording my videos from home where I'm comfortable taking my mask off. This photo is not going to be shown anywhere or with anyone but me. It's just for the credit of the email. I just want to know what y'all look like. Just make sure it's school appropriate and it shows your face. Could be with other people, but just again, follow those guidelines. If you have trouble learning how to attach a photo, you're going to see a little photo icon on the bottom of your email option. You might have it, I do attach a video here and link it to see how, if you do instructions on attaching photos from an iPhone. I think you're able to click and drag too, and you can upload to your Google Drive. I want you to play with it. Since the assignment itself is not very time consuming, what I'm asking you to write and do, I want you to mess around with it. Anybody who has a major problem with it, I'll just consult with you if you have a problem. All right, in another paragraph, which means hit enter and start, have a space there. You're going to close with a farewell, a question, a request, or other thought. You could be like, looking forward to a great year, exclamation point. That's fine. Then you're going to hit enter and you're going to sign at the bottom with your first and last name. Okay, don't just put a first name and don't just put like Joe T. If you want, and I include directions for this on this document assignment that's attached to the classroom or material, I think I have it linked as. If you want to add a signature, what a signature, an email signature means is you can actually set it up so that Gmail always just sticks your first and last name there. It's not required, but you might find it helpful. Now, this is a case where you can, in the email signature, use a fancier font, a script maybe that imitates handwriting. Don't change colors on me, though. I would keep it black. And that's an important thing to do. If you had a phone number in a professional, if you were emailing for a job, you could attach that there. I don't need anybody's numbers for school, but just in case you use this for other situations. And lastly, you're going to send this email to Mrs. Gerst at sgerst@hamiltonschools.org. And I just want to clarify that although the assignment is posted in Classroom, you will not turn anything into me on Classroom for Wednesday. You're going to send the actual email. Ooh, I used a template. Can you tell? Mrs. Gerst will respond to your email so you know it's received, and you'll ultimately see a grade in the parent portal. It's going to be worth 30 points, all right, as a classwork homework assignment for English, and then in journalism, it's just points earned, not responsible. And you can see I've assigned point values to each of these items for a total of 30, and you can look at that rubric and double check that you did everything you needed to when you were done. Okay, thanks so much. Bye.